Hey there, Internet friends. Trevor Starkey here with a special Thursday edition of Movie Monday. As always, with these big blockbuster movies like Avengers Infinity War here, I'll be doing a spoiler-free kind of response review of the movie tonight on Thursday, and then I'm going to go see it a couple more times this weekend and do a spoiler-filled version of my impressions come actual Movie Monday. So, Avengers Infinity War, pretty hard to talk about without spoilers, I think, but I'm gonna, because there is definitely a lot to spoil in this movie, but just talking in very generalities, this is, I think, an incredible payoff to 10 years of Marvel Cinematic Universe movie making. Of course, you've built up so many universes and people and characters and stuff throughout that time, and seeing so many of them come together in this film is quite the impressive feat. Of course, if you are weirdly unfamiliar, Avengers Infinity War is basically the culmination of the Infinity Gauntlet, Infinity Gem kind of saga that we've been seeing really since when was it? I mean, Captain America and the Tesseract were first introduced. That's when it was first introduced in Captain America: The First Avenger. But of course, you've got Iron Man and Hulk in there from prior to those movies. And did Thor come out before Captain America too? I think it did. So you've got kind of all of those films through Black Panther, leading into kind of today. We're very much kind of picking up where a lot of these characters have left off since Civil War, Thor Ragnarok, and Black Panther are the three, and Spider-Man: Homecoming. So the four kind of major touchstones of and Guardians of the Galaxy 2. God, there are so many movies that are directly feeding into this is where these characters were. We're kind of getting to see where they all are now. So it is again a very impressive feat. I am certainly left with a lot of questions of where does it go from here, and because we don't get the next Avengers movie until a year from now, the resolution to this kind of two-part film. This is very much a film in and of itself. This is very much an Empire Strikes Back type scenario, I think, where you've got it's a self-contained story, but it is clearly going to be paid off, I think, finally in a year's time when Avengers 4 comes out. I think the movie does a pretty good job kind of juggling all of its characters and all those storylines. Very quickly, early on, the threat of Thanos is established and is kind of set up, and this guy is no joke, and his kind of little minions are no joke. Everybody kind of comes in and immediately sets themselves maybe apart, or at least as being a bit more dominant force than the villains we have seen potentially elsewhere in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The characters, we kind of bounce around from a whole bunch of subsets of Avengers and Guardians and all sorts of other characters, but every kind of storyline is kind of driving towards something. Thanos is very quickly set up, and word of Thanos and the impending threat, spreads across the galaxy as it needs to pretty quickly. So you get everybody on board to realizing that this is a threat. There is no typical first act build where everybody's kind of getting to it. The first act is 10 minutes, and boom, you hit the ground running into the second act of the film, kind of with everybody kind of on their missions to try and get to the things that they're trying to get to help defend against Thanos and kind of his quest to capture all of the Infinity Stones. If anybody is kind of the central character of this movie, it probably is Thanos, just because he is, I think, probably given the most weight and time in kind of establishing, who he is, what his backstory is, kind of what has led him to kind of the decisions that he's making, and the desire for this power, and the reason and what he wants to do with this power. I don't think that he fully he doesn't make the top tier of villains for me, just because he is such a kind of global domination kind of bad guy that he feels just a little bit more impersonal compared to somebody like Baron Zemo or somebody like Killmonger from Black Panther. I think there are other villains in the Marvel Cinematic Universe who are more fully fleshed out characters, but again, we admittedly have only seen kind of part of Thanos' story here, so I will be interested if my views on that change come the time for part 2, but he's definitely a threat, and the stakes are high, and again, it is a powerful payoff for 10 years of building up these characters. I don't think it's any kind of surprise that not everybody makes it out of this movie alive, and so when characters fall, it means something because you've known them before. There is weight to it. Pulling all of that aside, there is still a lot of that classic Marvel humor. They do a good job really kind of hitting a lot of those beats and trying to find a balance in the severity of the consequences and stakes of this film. There is a lot of little quips and kind of one-liners here and there, and character interactions that pay off wonderfully, or you have jokes that were maybe set up in past movies that do a really good job kind of like being brought into the fold here and getting a reprise in this film as well. Again, it is bringing the amount and scope of the first Avengers movie, bringing in those kind of core 6 superheroes I think we had at the time, to see kind of what it has become in the time since then, and to see everybody being brought into this film. It is, again, just an impressive feat, and the hats off to the Russos who managed to make it work. The fight sequences, there's a lot of great fight choreography, and the special effects and CG is really kind of well shot and well directed and well kind of produced, that I was having just a grand old time watching this film and seeing the clever ways, again, when you see some of these characters coming together, and you think like, oh, it'd be really cool if they, if they teamed up or something like that. A lot of those team ups happen, and in very interesting and satisfying ways, I think. So I look very much forward to talking about this again come Monday, when I can get into a little bit more of the specifics side of things. But suffice it to say, this was a very good movie. I am looking very much forward to seeing where the universe goes from here, and how kind of we see things pay off in Avengers 4 next year. So those are my spoiler-free thoughts on Avengers Infinity War. Let me know what you thought about the movie in the comments below. As always, I've been your host, Trevor Starkey from TrevorTrove.com. You can follow me at SnarkyStarkey on Twitter. Again, I will be back on Monday with spoiler-filled impressions of the film after seeing it at least. I've already got at least one more ticket this weekend, but yeah, I'm probably going to go catch it a couple more times just to take it all in and process it. So, until next time, from here at the Trove, treasure your friends.